So I'm going to try and film a little bit of all the projects I'm going to do this week. So I haven't got like a really big project like in the previous video. That was kind of a couple of weeks, around 10 days worth of work on that one. So I've got a handful of smaller projects. So one of them here is a folding shoe rack. That if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a little video on that. So it's just a cabinet with two doors that kind of obviously fold outwards, and then the shoes slot in. So there's space in there for 4 shoes, hopefully, if everything's measured out correctly. It's painted kind of like this, and this burgundy like paint from Mylands, just hand rollered. It's matching an existing Radiator kind of cover unit that I did pretty much 3 years ago for a couple in Croydon. So I've pretty much built it all up. So I've got all the components here. The faces are being painted, but the edges, you'll kind of still see the plywood on them. So I'm going to give the edges just a sand with the edge sander that I have, the Festool edge sander, and then try and get a couple more coats of paint on them. You will see the kind of grain of the plywood through the front face, but yeah, trying to get the paint on these. I've got the cabinet that needs putting together and a coat of Osmo on the outside faces. I've Osmoed all the inside faces now. It's only kind of 700 high by about 500 wide millimeters, so it's quite small. It's not a big thing, so I'm pretty much gonna just take it in the car, ready assembled, and just fitting that on Friday. What I try to do kind of every evening or every morning when I'm having my breakfast is do like a little to-do list for the day. This one has packed sausages and salad on it. Also, those both done today. So I'll go through and I'll write a little list of what I need to do. So I go into detail, kind of got fronts, and it's like sand the edges, final coat of paint. There's a bottom section that goes on the front that I need to kind of trim and put a little curve on to match the radiator covers, and that also needs painting. So that's kind of it for like this little project. And then I'm doing a really long 2-meter shelf for someone that I've done a big wardrobe project for. I'll kind of put that over my face here. So I've got that to do. I've ordered a sheet of Formica for that, so hopefully that might come tomorrow or Wednesday. There's no rush for that. So I'll go through my got some, not offcuts, but just lengths of material that are all kind of behind me here. So I should be able to make the sections. That's kind of only 4 pieces of wood, 2 little end panels, a bottom and a back. And that's all being finished in terracotta Formica. So that's another thing to do today, just kind of rough cut those components, maybe give them a sand, and then when the Formica comes I can laminate that all up. And then I have a boiler cupboard that I'm doing. So a boiler cupboard, so boxing in a boiler and the long kind of shelf coming off of it. It's not the kind of thing I do too often. Again, it's for someone that I've done a project for in the past. So I might start just making a cut list. I've got a SketchUp drawing of it. Again, I'll put that over the top here. So I've got the SketchUp drawing for that, and maybe I just need to refine it a little bit. It's very neat and tidy corner space. Like the boiler is obviously a standard kind of size, so it's nothing too tricky. But yeah, just need to figure that out a little bit, so that if there's any space for scribing, I'll kind of have that and allow for that in the drawing. Have a couple of emails to kind of get back to. Someone asked me about doing some kitchen cabinets, and again, that was someone just across the road from my workshop that I've done some work for in the past, so I'll kind of get into that and see what they want. But that's it really for today. So just a bit of work in the workshop. I'll try and show some kind of sections of it, whether it's me working or a couple of time lapses. Probably not anything too satisfying for a time lapse really, but yeah, right. So I'll try and keep going with this every day this week. I'm in the workshop aside from Friday when I'm doing the install of this guy. Nice. Right, let's get to it. Right, just cut this bit out. So this goes on the bottom of the shoe cabinet, just like a little footer bit that we did the same detail on the radiator cover. So I just used the shaper to cut that out, obviously maybe a bit excessive. But when I did it before, like when I made this a couple of years ago, I didn't have this. So I would have just done it on a router, just with maybe a bit of thin piece of MDF, and just kind of shaped that with the sander. And that way, I mean, it's quite a simple piece. So this is going to get sanded. I'm going to paint the front of this. Obviously this machine makes it so easy to do stuff like this. Just draw it up on the laptop and then cut it out. It maybe takes, I don't know, that probably took about 5 minutes to cut out. So it's not the quickest, just because you are doing it by hand in that way, but it's super accurate. And hopefully it's accurate if I measured it right. But yeah, so nice. Going to give that a paint, sand and a paint, and be on our way. Just thought I'd show you that little front edge detail just there. So yeah, the skirting obviously goes down behind this. The skirting stops at the top of here, and this just hangs down. And you've got the door, one door there that flaps open. So, whichever way it is, that way. You still have a panel and does that kind of thing in there, and then this just hangs down a bit lower. Just going to figure out. So this is just dominoed in on the front. Just using the connectors like that, and it just slots on. So probably when I come to install it, I'll just pop a little bit of glue on these dominoes and into there, just to kind of fix it. Could also put something on the edge, but it's not in a place where someone would be likely to kind of catch it with their foot or anything like that. Maybe the only thing would be a vacuum cleaner that you might catch it with, but basically like that. There you go. Right, so I'm going to give this a coat of paint and then put it on the rack. So just spent a bit more time cutting out all of the strips for that 2 metre long shelf. So that's all done. I've just got that on the rack over there. I just need to wait for the Formica to arrive. So hopefully that should come tomorrow, so I can start laminating all of that. So now I'm going to move on to, and like it's just about 1 o'clock now. So a bit of back and forth between different jobs, but waiting for the paint to dry on that shoe rack. I'll do another coat before the end of the day possibly. Give it a little sand back and another coat. So I've started on the boiler cupboard and shelf, long shelf project in the kitchen in Camberwell. So I've updated the drawing a little bit just for my own, get all the measurements, and then I'll make a cut list of all the different components. I just write this out. I have tried to use like a spreadsheet and all those kind of things, but I feel that writing it kind of manually makes it a bit easier. So I've got the table saw set up here. Obviously you can kind of see that I don't have much room kind of going into the table saw, so it's more just for repeat cuts. So kind of filler strips and those kinds of things. Sometimes I do move it around so I can get longer pieces in, but generally just use the track saw for those longer jobs. Obviously it'd be nicer to have the space to the table so I could use the table saw for full size boards, but you know, that's kind of how it goes. They've got a chop saw set up for just cutting those down, miter saw. So just going to run some strips through this, chop those down, then I'll just go through the list kind of ticking it off as I go. Some of these bits, I mean, they're just not offcuts, but kind of offcuts from previous jobs, so they'll work perfectly for what I'm doing here. So a decent amount of those here. Then I'll do all the other panels, and I've got some other bits of material, and then probably have to get a full size board from my storage cupboard, get that up and in here, and that will be the front faces and the kind of maybe the outside panels of the unit. Yeah, so with those, probably explained this in previous videos, but on some, let me just try and find one. Personally, I don't like to see kind of the big patches, like the production patches that you get. There's kind of one there, I'll show you a bit closer to the camera. That's one right there. Hold that in front of the lens. You probably see that. So there's this patch here. I generally like to circle them so that I can kind of see where they are on the panels. Obviously it's a natural material, so you're going to get what that used to be a knot when it was like veneered through the machine at the production stage. I just like to kind of hide those as much as I can. If they're on the inside of a cabinet, it's generally fine, but I don't want those on the front faces so that you can see. Again, if it's on the underside of something, it's not so bad. But yeah, just to try to be a bit mindful of that. So some of the sheets, I'll maybe flip them around and try to get the best faces that I can for them, really. Yeah, so I'm just going to get into doing some bits on the table saw, tick those bits off the list. Got some other smaller offcuts there that I can use, cut the other sections. Yeah, and just go from there. Right, so that's the end of my day on Monday. Made a bit of progress on the cabinet for the boiler and the shelf. Kind of making it a bit overcomplicated for myself. Like on these smaller jobs, like smaller in scale, I guess I try to not make things too simple in a way, like try to learn something new or build something in a slightly different way. So yeah, sometimes it takes a bit more time than possibly it should. Don't know what I mean by should, but you know. So I'll keep going on that tomorrow. Hopefully should have all the outside done and then get the doors done. And then it's just basically sanding it and osmoing it. Got all the components, so all the bits are kind of just off the side here, so that's all the cabinet. And then got all the shelves like just sitting on here. So the shelf that comes off the side. And then this is the bits for the longer shelf that I was making for a different job. But yeah, that's kind of it for the day. So put one more coat on these red sections for the front of that, and I mean these have had probably 5 or 6 coats on them now, like thin coats, but 5 or 6, so they should probably be fine. And what I'll do tomorrow is go around, put a little radius on the edge just so they don't kind of chip in that way. And then that's the cabinet that they're going on, so maybe start putting that together a bit tomorrow. I think this needs some Osmo on the sides. Yeah, other than that, that's it for the day. So I'll kind of do a similar thing tomorrow, kind of chat about what I'm up to, and then we'll go from there. Peace out. Tuesday morning, just got into the workshop, just kind of started sanding down the edges of the front for the shoe cabinet, just from where you can kind of see on the edge there, just like a little bit of overlap, just where I've rolled at the top and then it's kind of gone over the edge. So just going around with the edge sander, the Festool edge sander, just to smooth, to get rid of that, so you can kind of go back and see the layers of plywood, and then going around, just giving the corner a little radius, just to get rid of that sharp edge. So do that on the 3 bits here, so 2 fronts and then the top kind of shelf panel, and then I'll be giving it all a coat of Osmo oil on the back faces, just to kind of protect it a little bit, and then also on the side of the cabinet. So that's my first job for the day, and then I'll move back on to doing the boiler cabinet that I'm doing. So I'll film a bit of that. Kind of got a little bit into it last night, or towards the end of the day yesterday in the afternoon. Felt like I was overcomplicating it a bit, but I think it's going to need to kind of slot in. So need to think about where I can kind of fix it and get all the screws and those kind of things. I'm using Lamellos, probably a bit of an overkill as always, but just so I can get the Allen key in there. Just need to think of that prior. And then don't know what else, maybe the Formica might turn up today, possibly. Ordered that on Friday, so I might turn up for that, so I might get towards that at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be something else I'll get into as well. Right, get on with this sanding. I'll film a bit of that. So I thought I'd show you just the cabinet kind of put together. So the boiler is going in this section here. That sits down. So there's going to be, you can do a cutout in the top for the boiler flue that goes out the wall there. Kind of left space, that kind of gap at the top, so that at least there's a bit of airflow kind of in the cabinet, which I think you need on a boiler. There's space above and there's going to be space below. There'll be a cutout at the back here for the pipes that go down the wall. I'll probably do that. Maybe I'll do that now, but maybe I'll do that just when I get there, when I install it in a few weeks. Then it's going to have two, I guess they're overlaid doors, and then this section, so the doors will be, so there's this one on this side opening that way, and then this one is also opening that way. I did just realise that to do that I'm going to need to change it slightly. Alright, going to get back to you on this. Right, so what I realised there was I've set this middle panel back about 10mm, so there's going to be shelves that go in this section just here. I set that back just as a bit of a detail, but I did intend to have the doors both opening kind of to the right hand side, just because it's in a corner. Don't want this door to kind of, if you're on the kitchen counter for example, you don't want to be reaching around to kind of get the things that are in there. So I don't know what they're going to store in there, but maybe some bottles of wine, some food, those kind of things. So you don't want to be reaching around trying to get to it. But what I think, so I was like, oh, maybe I have to remake that panel, but hopefully I won't have to do that. So I use this jig, just get that in the actual shot there. So I use this, just like a Blum hinge jig, and because I'm going to be using, not the overlay, the inset hinges, which are these guys here. So the inset hinges, they sit back from the front, I think it's 37mm. I think that's right, I just need to check that. But I think it's this middle one here. So that goes kind of there like that, and then the hinge clips in to the centre there. So if I just remember to bring or use a spacer, so this is set back 10mm, use a 10mm spacer, and maybe I'll do this now while at least it's all together. For the hinge, it should be all good. So these are the kind of things that you try to make a nice detail and you forget about what you're actually kind of planning, what you're kind of planning to do in the beginning. Sorry, just trying to use the camera a bit more handheld today. But yeah, so doors are both opening to the right hand side, so that hopefully should be good. I think I'll put the hinges on now and then we can go from there. So I got the doors on. It's a little bit trickier than I thought it would be. This side is fine, so they're like inset hinges, so that was all good with the spacing, just of the little plates that go on those. But this side, kind of realised that they need to be overlay hinges. But then, because this vertical panel is set back slightly, just from like the previous design, it doesn't look bad, because once the door's there, you're not going to see. I mean, it sits back 10mm. It should have just been forward 10mm. Then it would have been using the normal markings of like 20 and 52 on this guy. But I mean, it all closes now. I'm not too sure. I need to redo, because again, I marked everything from the bottom of that top. I guess they're called stringers. So I'm going to remake one of those with just kind of 18mm on the front, or sorry, 20mm maybe, just so it matches this, so the edge goes all the way around to the bottom. Kind of added in like a little toe kick, but this is going on a kitchen worktop, so it should all be nice and level. Yeah, so a little bit of fiddling around, but hopefully it's all good. So I'm going to remake that top structure, and then just need to figure out what I want to do with the handles, if we want to do like a push to open kind of thing, or if they want something cut in. I'll have to look back. Generally when I go to someone's house and do like a little site visit, I'll take maybe photos. So of this, I took photos of the kitchen, of where the boiler was and any pipe work and those kind of things. So I'll look back at those and see what the kitchen door handles are like, and either mock something up just on SketchUp and send it to the client, or just kind of go ahead and figure something out. If it maybe might make sense just to have a push to open. So this side is going to have shelves in it, so they are all these guys. So I'm going to drill some shelving holes for the LR32. So that'll have shelves in it like that will all be adjustable. So just start putting the holes for the shelf pins in this middle section, which is the middle upright. And then I realised that I generally use this little bit of 18mm spacer that I kind of put in the end there, and done that. So now all the holes are set 18mm down, so they're not going to line up with this side panel here. So again, I have to remake that centre section. Luckily it's not too much work. Got a bit of an offcut there, so I can use that. And also when I was trying to figure out the inset hinges or the overlay hinges, kind of did a lot of holes for the hinge plates. So yeah, just gonna cut that out. Hopefully this section here is long enough for that. But yeah, a bit frustrating, because I'd even written on the top to make sure to check that, make sure to put that in. There we go. Right, so that's probably it for today. So I got all of that cabinet built over here. I think everything is basically ready to be sanded. There's a few little bits. I want to pop some radiuses on, just on the bottom of these uprights and the shelves. What maybe I should have done is make the cabinet hole and then build an end panel, because there's going to be a bit of scribing in to this side, and I've done that on the side that I have all of the shelf holes in, and because it overlays now, so you see the grain on the front, can't really adjust that. I don't really want to rebuild the whole thing, but I think it'll be fine. I mean, the upstand in the kitchen is only sticks out about 15mm, and I've left 20mm on the back to scribe in, which hopefully should be fine. And then this is a shelf that goes along the kind of left hand side if you're looking straight at it, cupboard on the right, and then the shelf on the left. So basically rough that, and then dominoed and Lamello Clamex, which looks like these guys. Use those together. I'm sure people know what they are. So like little plastic connectors, and then I might do some screws to the side and fill that with a dowel, just as like a little detail, but also it's quite a big shelf and it's going in the kitchen, so it's probably going to have a lot of books on it, I would assume. So yeah, tomorrow take all this apart, sand it. The only detail that I haven't done is the doors, so I need to think about that, but that is something that can be done. I can leave those off the sanding list. That can be done later. The formica didn't turn up today, but that's fine. Possibly that'll turn up tomorrow, or might even turn up after I've gone. And then I can get on with that really long shelf. Aside from that, good day. A lot of fiddling around with the cupboard, trying to get the hinges right, and because I messed up with the alignment of the shelf pinholes, basically I remade that middle section, and then there's probably a clip from before where I was talking about it was kind of 10mm too short, even though that was a bit of a detail that I kind of wanted to add in the beginning. I added 10mm onto the new version of it, and that means the hinges fit perfectly, and there's no little gap at the front, so it made more sense to do that, and it didn't take long to remake that section. Cool, alright, over and out for this evening. So Wednesday morning, I've been in the workshop about half an hour, just gave it a good little tidy up, vacuum around, put everything back. Probably should do that at the end of the day, but it's always nice to do it in the morning, a bit of fresh start. So going to be taking all these units, or this boiler unit apart, and the shelf. I'm going to add like a 20 mil radius onto the edges, so I just have like this really basic jig, just run the flush trim router around that. Do that on quite a lot of the edges, just like a little detail that I like to do. So I'll be on the long shelf that's in front, and all the internal shelves, and then the bottom panel of the uprights of this, again just like a nice little detail. And then once I've done that, I'm gonna start sanding everything. Just get into kind of sanding stuff, so just taking it all apart, going around with the sandpaper on all the edges, sanding everything. Generally I do it about 120, sometimes go up to 240, but generally 120 is good. Got sand in between each layer of Osmo, probably do 2 or 3 layers on this. Hopefully I should get one coat on it today, I guess. So I'm just going to start doing that. I've got a few other things on my list to do. Just as I was leaving last night, the box of Formica turned up, so probably at the end of today I will laminate that to I'm making it basically the same shelf that's here but 2 meters long. So I'll laminate that and put that in the vacuum bag, so I'll kind of show a bit of that process, and then that means that tomorrow I can trim that back and do all the dominoes and Lamello joinery for that, and then sand that, and then do a coat of Osmo, and that'll basically be ready to take to install. I'm not too sure when I'm going to do that, but it's in the building that I kind of live, my flat is in, so that's nice and easy to do that. Right, so I'm just going to jump into the sanding. So I just spent probably a couple of hours just giving everything a sand on the boiler cupboard that I showed you this morning. So that's all the edges of the front facing kind of ply laminated edges, all the sides, both sides of the panels, tops and bottoms, going around with a little radius router, so put a little radius on the edge, then go around with a hand sander, sanding block, and then just go over with like 120 on the radial sander. So that's all good and ready to Osmo. Yesterday I was given these panels from the shoe rack a coat of Osmo oil, and because I was using a roller and then going around doing the edges, there was using the roller kind of on that edge there, it has bled over onto the finished painted surface. So I've sanded, and it was only small bits, but I've got them to get looking nice. So I've gone around, sanded all those back again on the edges. Hopefully I could just go around with a roller and just try to be careful not to get it on this finished face edge. I'm sure I could mask it off, but I'm going to give it a go. I can always sand it back on the edges anyway. So I'm going to do this, put that on the drying rack, then start Osmoing all of this, put that on the drying rack, then probably get into something else if I have a bit of time left. But yeah, that's where I'm at after lunch this afternoon on a Wednesday. So I thought I'd just show kind of how, for anyone who doesn't know, the roller for mica as this arrives. So it's 0.7mm thick, so it's very thin. It's a bit unwieldy to move around, it's quite big. Like this roll is 3 meters, 10 centimeters by 130 centimeters wide, mixing up the old the millimeters and centimeters there, but you know. It is easy to snap, so you do have to be a bit careful kind of moving it around, and because it's so long, it's a bit like a wave, like a sail. So what I'm using this for is some 2 meter long shelves that are similar to the ones that I was sanding earlier. So 2 meters wide, about 23 centimeters deep, and with 150mm kind of back and like 2 ends on it. I call them the storage shelves. I've made quite a lot of them, so the girl whose flat this is going in, I've done a big orange wardrobe in Formica terracotta, which is the same colour as this, like a triple wide wardrobe, a desk in that room, I think it's 2 shelves in that room already, and then I think she has 5 or 6 of these stylus shelves in her hallway, and they're in, I think, a spectrum yellow, and then she also has some more shelves in the living room, and then another sliding door wardrobe with a desk on it. So yeah, every room in this flat, beside the kitchen, has an item that I've made over the past couple of years. I'll put some of the images of those up on the screen. So what I'm going to do now is just rough cut some of this, the Formica, down to size. Generally I leave like 10mm around the edge, so just a little bit wider, just sometimes the glue kind of slides around a little bit when it's in the vacuum bag. So I'll cut it all to size. There's only, there's the shelf piece, the back, and 2 small sides. So there's not a lot, and obviously there's quite a lot left on this roll, which I'll probably use on another job in that way. So it just obviously doesn't go to waste. I might even do something at home with it, so yeah, that'd be quite cool. Right, so just going to trim this down and then possibly get it in the vacuum bag tonight. It's about 4:45 now, so I might be able to do it before kind of finishing for the day. Sort of talk a little bit about my setup that I use for the vacuum bag. So it's a vacuum bag from Airpress, and has a compressor for the vacuum, I guess. Over here, so that just plugs in. This one's the Airpress Professional. Couldn't tell you much more about it, but it seems to work in that way. That guy does. What's really annoying is an on-off switch, which I'm sure a lot of these things don't, but why? I don't know. You just have to plug it in and unplug it to turn it on and off. As you can see, I've got some patches in the bag. It seems like they do just rip. I think most of the time that's either from dragging the bag over something or from when you're trimming the Formica. Obviously it gives, it's like not dust, but little shards of Formica, and they get quite sharp. They're like little pebbles, little stones basically. And then when you're vacuuming, it compresses it, so it kind of messes that up. I've got this really fancy roller that I bought a couple of months ago. It is an absolute nightmare to clean. I thought it was going to be really, really satisfying, like when you use these trays with the PVA and you can just peel it off in one. It's really great. But with this kind of, I guess like a galvanised metal, so I haven't found a good way to clean it. And there's even bits on it now, so the roller was just kind of stuck in there, like glued in there, which is really annoying because that was like £250. So, I mean, this setup is £1, like £2.50 something. The glue I use is like a PVA, Easy Bond PVA, and this is from Airpress as well. Seems to be working out alright. Got another one down there. I have got some of the Type Bond that I used to use ages ago before I had the bag and just put everything in clumps. I haven't used that. I've still got a fresh one. Maybe when I finish this I'll give that a go. but this seems to be working quite good. Generally roll everything out using the roller, not this guy. So roll it all out, and then put it together, put it in the bag. I know that a lot of people probably have a big board that fits in there, but I don't. It's just a bit unwieldy to get inside the bag, and then the bag just lives under my workbench here. So for these pieces, it does seem to work as long as it's not too much overhang, to just put it in the bag without a board. I don't know what you call that, like a vent board on the bottom. But if there's too much overhang, obviously the vacuum starts to lift up and can damage the laminate. Yeah, I think that's the right way around of doing it. It's one way around or the other. So you're either putting it in the bag like this, so that at least these bits get kind of compressed up, or if you can go that way, and then obviously it's being sandwiched down, but then you do get that kind of overhang, and there's a lot of pressure kind of on that edge. So I think I put them in this way. But yeah, so just roll the PVA out onto each of these faces, then get it in the bag. Right, so I got it all in the bag. Definitely need to figure out some solution that goes underneath, because I think, like I said, it does start cupping in on itself because it's just sucking all the vacuum out of it. But it seems to be alright. It's got a lot of pressure on it, so basically just leave that overnight. It will lose the vacuum does come out of it because of the small holes, I think. I don't like to keep the vacuum on all night, that's a bit excessive. So as long as it's clamped for, it will keep the air for a good hour or so, and that should be fine. So in the morning, give it all a trim down. Yeah, so I've basically got a flat battery and the memory card is full, so I'm going to cut it there. So a little bit of a slower start today. Just going to fiddling around with some other bits. So finishing up this shoe rack. Just got a delivery of some push to open catches, which I'm going to use. I'm going to try and use it's got a little magnetic end on it, which hopefully will keep the door closed. There's no door handles, no handle on the front of them. I'm delivering this tomorrow. That's in Croydon, so again probably another hour journey each way. It should be hopefully easy to install. Just going to put 4 screws through the back panel, and the back panel's fixed on really well. It's in a hallway. There's kind of a door here, and the door frame comes to about there, if that makes any sense. And there's a corridor there. So fingers crossed it'll all fit. After I gave those front faces another coat of paint, after I managed to get Osmo oil on the front of them, I've given them a sand all around the edges now, and hopefully there's maybe a small touch up I can do just around the edges, just on a few of them, and then again if I need to sand the edges I can do that, but it's 99% there, just needs a little bit and a bit of a clean just from the dust. But other than that, I'm going to try and put the fronts on, and then I'm just going to paint them with the fronts on, so at least it's all ready to go tomorrow morning. Right, so I just put all the fronts on and put the kind of pushed open catch at the top, so that's quite good. I'm sure people will know this, but I just use this jig. It has a 20mm hole, and that's what you set the front of it to, which is useful. I only learnt that last week after marking about 1 million times before and I've done them. And put like a little magnetic plate on the door there. It hasn't got any holding power really, but when I tested this, like with the shoes in it, when it's closed, they stay closed. I mean, yeah, it's like both of the hinges, I've got like the soft close on them, so it's kind of pulling it inwards. I can't imagine it would need any kind of clip or anything, but I guess we'll see when it's done and when they're using it, and if something needs to be done, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, just got the top for it, might just put that on just for the time being, screw it in, and then if there's a bit of space I can always move it back when I come to install it. And then there's this little kind of half moon section which goes in at the bottom, and that kind of sits down at the bottom there. Put it that way. That sits down at the bottom and hangs down, and that's just kind of dominoed in the back. Then I'm going to, cause obviously I need something to hold the door, possibly at like 45 degrees, about like that, rather than it opening all the way, because then the shoes will just fall out. So I made these little brackets on the shaper, so you can probably see those like that. There's a little groove in the back, and then I've got some paracord, and I'm going to use that to tie just like a little, so I screwed these on the inside, there's one at the top there and one on the door here. Right, so that's the end of the day on Thursday. What did I do today? So I spent a bit of time figuring out that shoe rack, the shoe cupboard rack, whatever you call it, shoe storage unit, SSU. That is going to be delivered and installed tomorrow, so I'm going to go to Croydon tomorrow for about 10 o'clock, so I'll probably get here, I don't know, maybe just gone 8. I've packed some tools up, but pack the rest of the tools, I mean, I don't need that much, basically drilling 4 holes in a wall, fingers crossed, But I've got the box for all the drill and all those kind of things, and then screws and plugs and some spacers just if the wall isn't too straight. Figure that out. But that's all ready to go. Just need to wrap it up in the morning. Then I Osmoed again that boiler cupboard. So that was all, basically gave everything. It's now had one coat on all sides. Some bits I'll probably have 2 coats on it. The front door faces and the tops of the shelves, just where they'll be touching things in the kitchen. So that's done. And what else then? That long 2-meter shelf that I was building, that I put in the bag yesterday, that's all trimmed, sanded, and basically ready to be glued up. So possibly when I come back from the job in the morning tomorrow, I'll glue that up, so that will basically be ready to install whenever I have the time and whenever I can get into the flat to do that. And then just at the end of the day, started making this like bike rack shelf for a friend Steve. He's moving to Brighton, so he needs somewhere to pop his bike. So I'm making 2 of these for the flat that he's moving into with his girlfriend Fran. Basically the top tube of the bike goes in this, and then the wall would be here. They kind of have little peg holes, which I'll obviously cut this down, but the bits of the dowel go into there, so you can hang a helmet or gloves or whatever you want to hold there. So that was all cut out on the shaper. And then I've basically made these to be flat packs. So I'll probably use the Lamello use the Lamello to join all these together, so there'd be no glue. So if you wanted to send it in the post, I could do that. I don't know why I keep setting the camera up so that I have to get down at this level, because it's on a tripod so it could go anywhere. But yeah, that was it for today. Day went quite fast. Didn't feel like I'd got much done, but there's loads of stuff on the rack that's all oiled, and then cut all this out, made all that stuff, that's ready to go. So basically this week kind of completed 3 jobs. So the shoe rack, obviously it's not the end of the week yet, completed the shoe rack, the boiler cupboard with shelving on the side, and that kind of extra long storage shelf. Friday morning, just packed up the car with the shoe rack, so the red fronted shoe rack, and some tools, and I'm heading off to Croydon to go and install that. It's about a 40-minute drive from where I am now, and yeah, hopefully it should be just kind of 4 or 6 screws in a wall and job done. It could be that, but it could cause some issues, because I just went off the measurements that the customer sent me, which is generally fine, but you never know with these things. The wall could be out of square and not straight, not plumb, whatever. So we'll see with that. But yeah, I'll try and film some little bits, maybe I say install again, putting 4 screws in the wall. So I'll try and film some bits of that, and also I'll show you the radiator cover that I made there a couple of years ago now, probably 2 and a bit years ago, maybe 3 years ago, which this kind of looks similar to, doesn't match completely. So yeah, good, do that. So yeah, hopefully I packed everything that I need. Get a bit worried sometimes that I haven't got all the tools, obviously not taking like a track saw or anything, because if I'm getting to that stage, there's some bigger things to sort out. But yeah, all ready to go, so see you there. So back in the workshop, everything went well with that installation. It felt like it was kind of millimetre perfect. I think, like I said, the couple of these houses I was in, they took all the measurements, and which were fine, but the wall kind of in the hallway just had a bit of radius to it. So measuring it, it's like, where do you end, where do you measure from to, kind of thing. But it fitted really well. I mean, and it was only the 4 screws. So that was really good. Then got back to the workshop, just been fiddling around. Finished up these little kind of bike bracket shelves. So this bit obviously be screwed into the wall, and then the top tube of the bike goes kind of through there. If that makes sense, I'm sure it does. And then it's got some hooks on the bottom there. So made 2 of those for my friend Steve and his girlfriend Fran. Hopefully you'll be able to put these up on the wall, Steve, and like your 8 hours of putting a TV up. So what I'm going to get on with now, I mean, it's basically 4 o'clock on Friday. Going to give another coat of Osmo onto the the boiler cupboard that I was doing, and then there's also these shelves on the rack behind me that need a second coat as well. So I basically do that, and then that'll kind of be it for the day. I did take quite a few photos of what I did this morning. There's also a Radiator cover that I did a few years ago. I think at the time I didn't really capture it or take any photos, or maybe did some like stories on Instagram, but that was it. So I mean, after I've oiled that, I'll probably just head home and edit those photos. So that's kind of it from this week. It's been interesting just filming each day and kind of talking through what I've been doing. I think I'll try and do a few more of these. Probably not going to do it every week. I know that my friend Matt Watts Joinery, he has a YouTube, and he basically did a similar thing every week for the whole of last year. So he did 52 videos across that. A lot of the stuff he does is kind of, he'll be in people's houses, a bit more like carpentry work as well as the work stuff he does in the workshop. I know he's trying to do a bit more workshop stuff, but I guess there's a different background every day to his kind of videos. So hopefully it hasn't been too boring and the video isn't too long. Yeah, and then next week, what have I got to do? I got a couple of house visits just for a bit of measuring. I've got the long storage shelf to install. I don't know if I'll do that next week or maybe the week after. And again, the boiler room cupboard, kitchen cupboard, boiler cupboard in the kitchen. I got that to install. So that's 2 things to install. Steve can figure out these bike racks. And yeah, I've also been looking at doing an upholstery course. So someone local in Peckham is doing that in their workshop. So I've been kind of doing a bit of research on that, if that's something that I'm interested in doing. Not so much like something that I'd want to like offer people to kind of pay me as a service for, but just something nice to do on a Friday. So that's like 6 weeks, 1 day a week kind of thing, so 6 sessions. But yeah, maybe either try and design something like a chair of some kind or some kind of seating and figure out how to make a cushion for it, or find something possibly on eBay and like refurbish it. Not too sure which one at the moment, but yeah, maybe I'll think about that a bit more next week. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video. I guess I'm going to put in the bits from that I did this morning, either in between this, before this, or after this. But yeah, hope you have a nice weekend, and thanks for watching. See you later.